Reading book on pausing and institutions. Written by me, Eric Wadell. First draft, February 2026. Chapter 1. What is pausing? The town central square. Pausing is an age-old thing, but also a new thing. It is a natural behavior that we spontaneously do every now and then. But it is also a skill that we may develop consciously. Say that your workplace is located by the town central square, and from the windows of your workplace you have a nice view above it. This particular day at your workplace you are on your coffee break. And as you are filling up your cup from the workplace brewer, in the corner of your eye you see an old friend entering the cafe located on the other side across the square. Seeing your friend makes you spontaneously pause for a second or two. It was many years ago since you last spoke, and the sight of your friend reminds you of feelings from a past time. This is an example of a spontaneous pause, or unconscious pause. It just happens to us, whether we like it or not. It is a natural behavior of ours. We come across something that makes us pause, and that is when life is doing things to us. This is pausing as an age-old thing. The next day at work, you go on your coffee break again at the same time. And you find yourself walking up to the windows looking down towards the cafe. You pause for a second or two and think about your friend and if maybe you will see them again today. This is an example of a chosen pause or conscious pause. It is when we actively decide to take a moment to recognize what is going on. These conscious pauses are how we decide to do something back to life, and is something that we may develop into a skill. This is pausing as a new thing. Like this, pausing is both a natural behavior of ours as well as a conscious skill that we may develop. Like this, pausing is both how life does things to us, but also how we can choose to do things back to life. Old friends sometimes come back into our lives, but we can also choose to actively look for old friends. The skill of pausing is how we make breathing space. it is close to impossible to make any personal decisions without first having some sense of breathing space. So, if we wish to be engaged in our lives and make personal choices, we need a practice for making breathing space. And that practice is what I call pausing. The third day at your workplace, the time of your coffee break arrives again. This day, you pause and decide that you want to go down to the cafe and buy your coffee there instead of drinking the coffee from your workplace brewer. On the way down, you feel excited about perhaps meeting with your old friend. You leave the institution of your workplace, cross the town square, and enter the other institution of the cafe. You are going from one institution to the other, and you would not be able to have the chance meeting with your friend without doing so. Your possible future relationship is contingent upon there existing two institutions connected through the square. And your excitement about the meeting is also contingent upon you temporarily leaving the one institution and entering the other. And it all starts with your practice of pausing. Pause, breathing space, choice. Like 1, 2, 3. Often or seldom. Pausing has an everyday quality to it, and we may choose to pause as often or as seldom as we like. It comes down to our genuine need for it. At some times in our lives, we will want to pause often, and at other times we will not want to pause at all. So there really is no such thing as an optimum frequency of pausing that is common to us all, or anything like that. There are only different personal frequencies of pausing. When we follow our genuine need for pausing and do not try to force it, each pause will gain its natural function for us. In that way, each pause will be meaningful, and we will attune ourselves to the guiding quality of relevance. Short or long. A single pause may be short or it may be long, or anything in between. Short pauses become like split-second adjustments that we make on the go. Medium pauses become like moments of reflection in our everyday life. And long pauses become like deeper contemplations into the complexity of things. Some people prefer pauses of only one kind of duration, and other people prefer pauses of different durations. This may fluctuate in the course of our lives, so that we at some times prefer pauses of only one kind, and at other times pauses of multiple kinds. Short, medium, or long pauses have different effects though, and the duration of pauses is connected to the different typical situations of pausing, which we will come back to in chapter 4. Not all things in life take the same duration of time of pausing for us to recognize. Alone or together. We may pause alone and we may pause together with other people. When we pause alone, we are more prone to noticing the dynamics between our inside and our outside. How our thoughts and individual body find their places in the world. When we pause together with other people, we're more prone to noticing the social dynamics between us. How our group finds its place in the world. Some people prefer to pause only when alone, or only when together. Other people prefer to pause both when alone and together. This differs due to personality. We are not all supposed to pause the same, and there are pauses that only you can do, as well as that there are pauses that only I can do. It becomes interesting when we pause in personal ways like this. It becomes like a language of sorts, or like a delegation of different roles. There is a job that you and only you can do. So pausing must be relevant for that job of yours. Otherwise, pausing would only become like a passing fashion. Personal desire to pause. The best way to develop pausing into a skill is to be attentive to our natural desire to pause or not to pause. That way, pausing will find its proper place in our lives. Done like this, pausing will become useful for whatever we need it for, and absent for whatever we do not need it for. Your personal desire to pause will fluctuate along the course of your life. At some times you will pause both often and wholeheartedly, and at other times you will detest pausing altogether. This is as it should be. If we respect our genuine desire to pause or not pause as our compass, we will develop a nice lifelong relationship to it. The practice of pausing is a simple one. Whenever we come across something interesting or puzzling, we pause for a second or two. This means that we have found something that we do not yet fully understand, and such a thing is valuable. Sometimes its worth reveals itself quickly to us, and at other times its worth stays hidden to us for many years. Either way, pausing is how we collect these valuable things, as well as how we may benefit from them. Now we have covered some of the basics of pausing. And next we will take a first look at our specific point of interest for this book, namely institutions. What are they? And can we find a useful initial pausing definition for them? What is it that makes them worthwhile pausing with and studying closer?